First, we'll vote on the following land use items: 102-51 Queens Boulevard rezoning, a private application to facilitate a new 17-story mixed-use building with approximately 216 residential units, 54 of which will be permanently affordable under MIH in Councilmember Schulman's district. And we will vote on the following pieces of legislation. Resolution 822A, sponsored by Councilmember Lynn Schulman, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign S.705A.2140, which would cap the amount people pay for non-complicated routine medical procedures at 150% of the cost paid by Medicare for those same services. Resolution 165B, sponsored by Councilmember Mercedes Narcisse, would call on the New York State Legislature to pass and the Governor to sign S.5545 and A.885, the Equity in Fertility Treatment Act. Resolution 741, sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, would designate May 10th annually as Judith Jamison Day in the city of New York to honor her life and legacy as a dancer, choreographer, and longtime artistic director of the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. Resolution 844, sponsored by Councilmember Susan Zhuang, would recognize May 10th annually as Chinese American Railroad Workers Memorial Day in New York City. Introduction 193A, sponsored by Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez, would require all taxis and for-hire vehicles to prominently display a sign on all rear passenger doors warning passengers to look for cyclists before opening the door. The signs would be provided to drivers at no cost by the Taxi and Limousine Commission. Councilmember Gutierrez could not join us today, but we do thank her for her work on this bill. Introduction 23A, sponsored by Majority Whip Sylvina Brooks Powers, would require that the City Comptroller publish an annual report that indicates the total share of city procurement contracts that were awarded to MWBEs for the most recent fiscal year. The report would include information regarding the contract value, awarding agency, and demographics of the MWBEs. Majority Whip Brooks Powers could not join us today, but we do thank her for her work on this bill. Introduction 1125A, sponsored by Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, would require the Department of Education to report annually the number of licensed and non-licensed school librarians at each school, the number of school libraries, and other data related to student access to library staff and facilities, including compliance with state staffing requirements. I invite Councilmember Ressler to the podium to discuss this legislation.
Thank you so much, Speaker Adams. As always, just tremendously appreciate your support on this bill. Wouldn't be possible without you and our terrific team here at the Council. I have to say, it totally shocked me to find out that there are 480 schools in the city of New York that don't have a library. Don't have a library, right? 30% of our public schools lack libraries. The mayor claims that literacy is his number one priority for the Department of Education, and libraries are fundamental cornerstones of literacy. When you have librarians present in schools, you deliver better academic outcomes, better test scores, and you actually achieve a love of reading for young people across the city. And we used to have about 1,500 librarians in our 1,600 schools 20 years ago. Today, that number's under 300. So 16% of schools in New York City have a certified librarian, despite state law that requires middle and high schools of a reasonable size to have a librarian present in the school. This bill, will ensure that we have real data in real time from the Department of Education so that we can achieve our goal of a library in every school and a librarian in every library. We can deliver better educational outcomes when we invest in libraries and access to libraries. When I was a kid, I remember being 6 years old and having just learned to read from the back of baseball cards, and my school librarian brought me over to the sports section of the library and showed off biographies of baseball players and novels about baseball. And that was really what captured my imagination to be a reader. And I'm grateful to Chris Rush. I'm grateful to all of the amazing librarians across the city of New York who advocated for this bill. And I'm grateful to the Speaker and to Chair Joseph for their really strong support and helping to get this over the finish line. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Very important. Next, we will vote on legislation to preserve the limits on fees delivery caps can charge restaurants. The council enacted legislation to cap these fees and provide critical relief to small businesses. In the wake of lawsuits by delivery app companies, New York City has remained one of the last of the more than 100 cities to keep this policy intact. Today's legislation maintains the cap on these fees while permitting additional services to be purchased. Introduction 762B, sponsored by Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, maintains limits on the fees that third-party delivery services can charge restaurants while allowing apps to provide optional enhanced services, such as marketing, for an additional fee of 20%. It would only permit charging an enhanced service fee. However, if the delivery service also offers the option to purchase a basic service plan at a cost no higher than the current fee limits, that includes delivery services and being listed and discoverable on the third-party platform. The bill also establishes strong protections for those who do not opt in by clearly defining the basic services that must remain subject to capped rates.
I believe the councilmember is walking in like 10 seconds.
Okay. We will come back to Salamanca. And Introduction 1185A, sponsored by Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan, would require the Department of Parks and Recreation to develop a strategic plan to mitigate the occurrences of wildfires in parks by March 1st, 2026. This bill would also require DPR to report annually on wildfires that occur in parks under its jurisdiction. I invite Councilmember Krishnan to discuss his bill.
Thank you so much, Speaker Adams. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councilmember Shekhar Krishnan, Chair of the Parks Committee on New York City Council. And it's a beautiful day today, but I think it's also an opportunity to take a step back and think about what we need to do to keep the days like this and to protect our climate in our city. Last November, we saw in New York 250 wildfires in 2 weeks, from Brooklyn to Queens to the Bronx. It sent a message very clear that we are in the middle of a climate emergency, and the best way that we can protect our city is to be prepared and do all we can to prevent them in the first place or react quickly to them when they happen. That's why I'm very proud that we are passing my bill today to require the Parks Department to work with city agencies to come up with a plan by early next year, a comprehensive plan to prevent wildfires where possible, to make sure the city agencies are working together to respond to them quickly when they do occur, and to work with educating New Yorkers on different practices to ensure they do their part not to cause wildfires in our parks too. But the fact of the matter is we have 30,000 acres of parkland in New York City, and they are all at risk of more and more wildfires in the years ahead. This is not a problem that's going away or that just came simply as a one-off instance last fall. This is the result of a worsening climate crisis, not only in New York City, but across the country, from here to LA. We have to take every step we can as a city to be prepared, to take the measures to protect our parkland, our trees, our forests, our green spaces from the lasting and damaging effects of the wildfires. And we saw how devastating they were just last fall and how much time and expense it took to repair the damage done where possible. But the causes of wildfires are numerous. Many of them also are out of our control. But we as a city must come to terms with this being a reality and an increasingly common part of our worsening climate crisis in New York. The bill that we are passing today in our city council recognizes that reality and pushes our Parks Department and city agencies to get ahead of it by coming up with the best plan of preparedness, prevention, and education that we can. Thank you to Speaker Adams and to all my colleagues in the council who are always there to take the issues affecting our parks and our green spaces as seriously as they deserve to be taken. Our parks and green spaces aren't just nice things to have, but they are important for our mental health, for our well-being, and of course, for our climate. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Councilmember Salamanca is here, and he is going to tell us about his legislation today.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, everyone. Intro 762B is a long overdue compromise and is a major win for local restaurants and consumers, and is a result of extensive negotiations to ensure small independent restaurants' voices are heard and their needs are met. Let's be clear. This compromise maintains a cap on delivery fees while providing the flexibility for marketing services, making it without exaggeration, the strongest food delivery commission cap of its kind in the country, with key safeguards in place. The enhanced safeguards in this bill ensures transparent pricing for marketing services, clearly outlined so restaurants avoid surprises and can opt in or out as needed. Restaurants will also retain the ability to set their own menu prices, the ability to include marketing materials in every delivery, and delivery platforms are prohibited from purchasing a restaurant's name as a key word for use in advertising. From the beginning, the focus of this legislation was to better enable small and independent restaurants to grow and support the unique character of their neighborhoods. This bill restores restaurants' fundamental ability to invest in marketing, expand their customer reach, and compete with big chains in this highly competitive market. It also provides restaurants with more choices and autonomy to leverage delivery platforms in ways that work best for them, allowing them to tailor their services and change them as needed. This moves away from a one-size-fits-all approach. Under 762B, restaurants can now access vital marketing tools like in-app promotions and targeted campaigns to reach new customers and increase their visibility, tools they often lack the resources to implement on their own. For small, family, and immigrant-owned restaurants, often operating outside central business districts, this legislation will serve as a potential lifeline as they lack the larger budgets and marketing teams of established or national restaurants. This bill is a common-sense compromise that will empower small businesses, bring more order to local restaurants, and create more earning opportunities for delivery workers. A win-win for all stakeholders in our delivery ecosystem. It has extensive and diverse support from a wide range of restaurant and business organizations, including Borough Chamber of Commerce and BIDS, and community groups who understand the tangible benefits it will bring. Lastly, securing the passage of 762B ends a protracted legal battle between delivery apps and the city that could have placed a significant financial burden on the city and taxpayers and led to unintended consequences for restaurants and the countless New Yorkers who utilize this third-party delivery apps. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our stated agenda, and with that, we will take on topic questions on the bills we're voting on today. Okay.
Sure, thank you. Speaker, as you probably know, the mayor is out at your old high school.
Yeah.
I saw from Jeff's tweet that you weren't even informed of that, but anyways, I'll get to my question.
Did Jeff tweet that?
While at that press conference just now, the mayor and his budget director said that the city is not looking at a doomsday scenario when it comes to the potential for a recession and tariff chaos and other sort of funding threats from Washington. They also said that the reserves that are included in this budget proposal are bulked up enough to prepare for any headwinds going forward. Do you agree with that assessment, or do you think there needs to be more action in the budget to kind of prepare for the potential of federal uncertainty, if we call it like that?
I think that the budget right now is good, but we can never be too certain about what is coming around the corner with this Trump administration. So I would caution all of us, really, against getting too comfortable with anything that we may feel is perfect. The budget is not perfect. It is okay right now, and we are still working on how to make it even better. So we need to keep our eyes open at all times when it comes to this administration and never take anything for granted, particularly when it comes to our city budget.
So you think more reserves might be necessary, or do you kind of like where the reserves are?
I think we're in a good place with reserves, Chris, but we can always be in a better place.
Got it. Can I just ask one more thing, too? How does it impact the negotiations that you are running to replace Eric Adams? Like, when was the last time you spoke to him? How does
This morning.
this morning?
Yes,
All right.
we spoke this
How
way.
does it impact your negotiations?
As I've said before, quite a few times, we are both professionals in what we do. In my capacity as the lead of the City Council, as the Speaker, and in the Mayor's capacity as the Mayor of the City of New York. This is our fourth budget together. We have always been very respectful and very cognizant of our roles and very professional and thoughtful when it comes to the budget. This year is no different with that relationship.
Thank you, Chris.
You said things are looking okay,
Yeah.
but where are the areas where you would still like to see more funding? I saw in your statement that there were still places where there are cuts that you would like to be restored.
Finance Chair?
Sure. Thank you. We're still taking a look at it. I mean, it's encouraging to see that finally City Hall is answering, after 3.5 years of fighting to see our priorities reflected in their executive budget proposals. It's great to see. It shouldn't have taken this long. I believe that the areas that we fight for are priorities that are universally popular, right? I don't think there's anything controversial about funding the parks and the libraries and our early childhood education system. I think there are still a few areas that we're looking at where we think we need some more to get it where it needs to be. But this is a great start. But this is how it should have always been, right? The council is a co-equal branch of government, and what we put forward is what we're hearing from people in our district and what the speaker is hearing from her members. So it really shouldn't be such a big headline that the mayor is finally acknowledging our priorities, because that's his job and that's our job. So, but there's still 2 months of negotiations to come. So I'm sure there'll be some stuff we'll be fighting over.
Yeah, do you have a specific target for reserves numerically that you would want to increase it by? And also, can you give us some specifics in terms of things that you saw restored in the executive budget that were your priorities that you've seen the mayor do?
I'll do the budget part, and then I'll let the speaker do the priorities part. You guys have to remember, the council fought really hard to get the budget reserves up to $8 billion. We were the ones that in the past 2.5, 3 years who were fighting when we had extra revenue to either give a property tax rebate or to put money in reserves. So we've always been fighting for that. I don't know if the Adams administration has some sort of inside information that Trump is not going to continue to cut money from New York City. But we remain concerned. So I think there needs to be a balance of making sure we have enough money set aside and keeping enough powder dry, but that we're also allocating money into the programs and getting money into the communities where they need it most. And that we've already seen hundreds of millions of dollars that have been clawed back by Washington that are affecting our most vulnerable New Yorkers first and foremost. So we have to make sure that that money is being deployed into those communities while also making sure we've got money saved for that proverbial rainy day. And I think we're doing that.
Yeah, and, as far as priorities are concerned, just like the finance chair said, year after year, the council has continued to fight for these priorities, which we now see are actually a part of this budget that we should have seen quite a long time ago. So specifically priorities, I mean, you name it, everything's a priority, everything from education to food security to our veterans and everything in between. So everything that has been a priority to New Yorkers has been a priority for this council. And this is a good start. This is a good start. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you all. And thank you.